All right, guys, so in this video, I want to talk about ad isolation. Not that complicated, but nobody does it, so let's talk about it. So, look, if you ever looked at how the scientific method works, what you do is you isolate constants, things that are going to stay the same and always be the same. And you want to have everything. Also, when you're doing the scientific method of trying to discover anything, it comes from introducing one variable at a time to a simple environment. So you can clearly see, and you want to simplify the environment to the greatest extent you can so you can clearly see the effect that variables have on the environment or the thing that you're testing. So for example, if we were going out there and we were trying to see how certain things affect this little cell right here. So let's imagine this little white dot right here is a cell. So the constants in this experiment are the Petri dish and the cell. These things don't change. It's very simple. If I had like a Petri dish that's on top of a skyscraper with like 60 different things going on right there, every single time you add another constant, it's another variable, honestly. So you need to make sure there's a stable environment where you can predict exactly how something will behave every single time. In this environment right here, the cell is just going to sit there. So what we want to do with our ads is we want to behave the same exact way. See, traffic responds very differently. Facebook traffic responds a bit differently. It's a bit different than Google traffic. Traffic that comes from a display ad, traffic that comes from Instagram, traffic that comes from Messenger, traffic that comes from the sidebar, it all is different. It all is a different variable. And so what happens is, let's imagine this is our product. And so we connect a Messenger ad and an Instagram ad and this ad and this ad and another ad source, and we're also using organic traffic and Instagram, and we have a bunch of sales coming in, and we have all this stuff going on right here. What is happening is there is too many variables to figure out any type of pattern. It doesn't work. This is what most people's businesses look like. They're like, all right, we're going to see exactly how this product works. We're just going to throw a pile of Taco Bell food, and we're going to throw some McDonald's in there and like see what's happening. And there's like 50 different ingredients in a Taco Bell burrito, so it's just going to be a total mess. This doesn't work, because the way you scale something is you isolate what works and you isolate what doesn't, and then you do what works and then you don't do what doesn't work. It's so simple, but people don't do this. I didn't do this either. Like, I'm not shaming anybody. This isn't some genius idea I had in the middle of the night when I was 6 years old about how to run ads. This came from me just running ads incorrectly for so long. So when you have this, if you look at most people, they have an offer and they have 3 different funnels, and they have Facebook, YouTube, Messenger, Instagram, YouTube, organic, and they have like email list firing to the sale and offer, and then like they're like, hey, the offer works, it converts, but where's the sale actually coming from? And it's a cluster, it doesn't work. And so you can't scale this. You can't scale this. This is how most large-scale businesses with brands work. And you can't isolate variables or even track anything to the extent you need to. So when you first start off anything, you need to understand one thing about paid traffic online. If we just took the sidebar ads if we just took Instagram ads on Facebook, there's more than enough traffic there to get to $10 million a year. If we just took the sidebar ads on Facebook, there's more than enough traffic there to get to $10 million a year. If we just did, let's say, intent audiences on YouTube, there's more than enough traffic and like, I don't know, 5 audiences to get to $10 million a year. You don't really need to complicate things to make a lot of money. And so the question goes back to the original thing. Why do we need to do a lot of things? Why don't we just do 1 or 2 things? Now, there's going to come a point in the business where you might need to do a lot of things, but why do a lot of things before you need to do a lot of things? And you can make $10 million a year with 1 ad source, 1 funnel, and 1 product. You don't have anything else. You don't have organic. You don't have Instagram. You have no social media presence. You can do it all the time. I've seen plenty of people do it. Actually, I haven't seen plenty of people do it. I've seen a couple people do it who whoop the absolute crap out of everybody else. And so, look, I'm going to tell you straight up, scaling 3 products with 5 different traffic sources to $3 million a year is impossible. It's hard. That's why nobody makes like $5 million a year. Very few coaches, very few info marketers, very few SaaS entrepreneurs, very few service sellers make over $3 million a year profit. Scaling 1 product to $10 million a year is not that hard, because you can just see what's working and you can see what is not working. And so when we're running ads in this program, what I encourage you to do is understand this is how you win at ads. You win at ads by optimizing by 1%, 30 to hundreds of times. So for example, I told you my profit margin allows me to scale on HCOM is 30 to 50% same-day cash profit. That 30 to 50% same-day cash product does not come from 10 different traffic sources. It comes from going into my product and optimizing things and increase the ROI by 1%, 50, well, at this point, hundreds of times. Okay, that's how I kept the webinar going all this time. Actually, there's been hundreds and hundreds of 1% optimizations. And that you can't do those 1% optimizations unless you can see everything very clearly. My business right here is ad, opt-in, thank you page, video, sales page, follow-up funnel. And that this is all I have to work with. And so because of this, I can come into my laboratory and say, all right, where can we go and tweak this to increase by 1%? If you added 3 different ad sources, 2 different opt-ins, 3 different thank you pages, 2 different videos, I am suddenly screwed. I can't do it. I can't go and isolate things. I can't. I don't have time. I can't keep up with it in my mind. Maybe I'm just stupid, but it's not going to work. And you have to understand how you survive scale is also these 1% optimizations. And the reason why most people can't scale is because everybody else dies because they're not able to make these 1% optimizations because they can't see them. It's very clear if you only have one creature to work with on your desk. Once you have 6 Pokemon, 6 creatures, 6 ad funnels running around your desk, a Petri dish that looks like someone threw up at Taco Bell, it's not going to work. There's no idea. You have no idea what caused what. So you also have to understand this is how scaling is going to look. And when you first start your ads, what you're going to have to do is this. When you're scaling to about $500 a day right here, once you scale to about $500 a day, your profit margins are going to shrink. And your break-even limit on scale is going to be about $500 a day. So once you get to $500 a day, you stop being able to be profitable. And the way you get past $500 a day is not by going and making new ads or doing something wonky. It's by going out there and optimizing your business by 1%. So let's imagine at this point we're not optimized at all. We just have a webinar and a good product market fit, or a good sales funnel and a good product market fit. Once we get to about $500 a day, we're probably going to have to do about 20 to 30% 1% optimizations, and then we're going to be very profitable at $500 a day. But then once we get to $1,000 a day, our break even is going to suddenly become harder to hit, and so we're going to have to go make another 20, 30%, 1% optimizations. Okay, cool. We just kept that 30 to 50% profit margin going. And so how I've survived for so long isn't by having a secret ad technique. I've actually scaled simple ass audiences to huge levels. Like I'll just bid thousands of dollars a day on the word money. Here's how I do that. So what I'll do is I'm going out there, and once I get to $5,000, $10,000 a day, I don't go out there I don't go and adjust the ads or the targeting. I go out there and I adjust the funnel by more 1%, and I find ways to get small wins here and there. Sometimes I'll stumble on something that increases it by 10%, like email delivery or the subject lines of my attendance emails. And so that's how I survive. And so as you scale, what you do to increase scale is not working and experimenting with where our ads are getting more targeted. It's improving the funnel so that by the time you're at 10,000% scale or $10,000 a day scale, you've probably made 200 to 500 1% optimizations, and that's where the profit comes from. And while everybody else is trying to scale, how could they ever possibly scale? You're 500% more optimized than them. How could they ever scale to the same level? They can't. That's why people get stuck at scale. That's why they can't scale their Facebook ads. That's why they can't make it work on Google. That's why they can't make it work on Google, because it's not optimized to 1%, because they have this going on and nothing's optimized. You can't take an unoptimized herd and scale it. You can't. You can't go and compete with a webinar that's 500% optimized when you're not optimized at all. It just won't work, because I'm controlling the CPL and the customer, the cost to acquire a customer, and I can afford it. So that's the problem. So I'm not saying don't move to other sources either, okay? But you want to move to other sources after extreme optimization, and you want to do it in the same way. So once you get to like $10,000 a day on YouTube, maybe then consider moving over to Facebook too. You don't need Facebook. You can spend $20,000 a day on YouTube, no problem. I've done it. I actually realized that I could actually use really good tracking and hyper optimization to scale down to $10,000 a day and still make the same amount of sales. That's the key. But you can't spot these 1% wins without isolation. So this is why throughout this program, I want you to just focus on YouTube ads starting out. We're going to get in the display. I'm even going to get in the Facebook, even though this was advertised as a YouTube course. It's really all the same, apples to apples. You just have to treat the traffic differently. That being said, look, we need to start just with YouTube ads because they're very predictable, and we can isolate our variables to scale. Once we get to $5,000 a day on YouTube ads, let's talk about other stuff. But until then, let's just do the simple stuff. Let's just focus on YouTube ads, on Google ads, and scale that up because it's so damn easy to do and it's so damn easy to isolate. So this is what we're going to be doing in this program, and this is what you need to do to scale your ads. It's all about those 1%, and we can't find the 1% if we have this as our petri dish. It needs to be this. We need to be poking it with sodium chloride, then hydrogen, and then maybe Tabasco sauce. One at a time. We'll be able to clearly say, oh man, it really doesn't like Tabasco sauce, but it loves hydrogen peroxide. The only way we can't do that if we were throwing an entire burrito in there. Because then what would happen is the Tabasco sauce would hit it, and then we'd also have eggs, and we'd have whatever else is in a Taco Bell burrito, and then we wouldn't know if it was that thing or that thing or that thing. We wouldn't know it was the Tabasco sauce that caused the reaction. We wouldn't know it was the artificial toxic waste in the Taco Bell burrito that made the thing grow. Okay, we need to be able to isolate. So that's a little joke for you, but let's move on to the next video.